right. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this is Jim Fetzer on James Fetzer News with my special guest Judyth Baker, who knew Lee Oswald in New Orleans and a lot of other interesting characters. One of them, I take it, Judyth, was David Ferry.
Yes, David William Ferry, David W. Ferry, the Harry Ferry, who wasn't Ferry. He had a lot. He could make jokes about himself and all that. He was a very intelligent man who knew at least 7 languages. And when I say that, it was French, German, Italian, Spanish, English, German, Greek, and Latin. And he was a terrific. He could play classical piano. He was a very interesting man. He was, of course, a professional pilot. He was also the pilot for Carlos Marcello. He was a go-between man between Marcello and Guy Bannister, who was former FBI. Why? A lot of people ask me, well, why in the world would Bannister and Carlos Marcello have a go-between between them? You know, I couldn't even bring those subjects up because for a long time nobody ever believed that the CIA or the FBI worked with the mafia in efforts to kill Fidel Castro. Even in 1999, when I first spoke out, they were saying things like, "Oh, they quit all those attempts on Castro." Since then, they have found many, many more attempts that were made on Castro, even in 1963. At least that's what I was told by those researchers. What I'd like to say about David Ferry is I feel in some ways he's been treated unfairly. There have been many attempts to show that he was a broken man, that he wasn't that smart, and so on, but he was. And I attest to that and to his abilities that he had. He worked with Robert Heath, and he did a lot of work. We've probably talked about this before. The fact that Dave Ferry and Lee Oswald knew each other before is absolutely true. At one time, there was a photograph of Lee with his Civil Air Patrol hanging on Dave Ferry's wall. I don't know what happened to it because I noticed in a dead photo that was sent of when Dave Ferry died, all those photos were taken down off the wall. They're gone.
Probably just because it showed Lee in the images that they didn't want to be able to prove the connection.
Yeah, there's been some rigging done on that, you know. So I wanted to talk about the marmosets, monkeys, and things that we work with.
Yes, I was going to ask how you happen to be dealing with a strange fellow like David Ferry, though your description makes him out to be quite a virtuoso in many respects.
Well, he was involved with Tulane in strange little experiments that they really probably associated with MK Ultra, the mind control Ultra program that the CIA had. They were interested in New Orleans and the drugs and things. As you know, they did sprayed LSD once, you know, in, what was it, somewhere. Oh, I know, they sprayed it over in France, for example. That's in the Trindade book, A Terrible Mistake, and some of those people killed themselves. They were completely wiped out by that experiment. LSD, well, they were looking at other life-altering drugs too. And among them, what in the world is this about zombies and voodoo, okay? And David Ferry was also very interested in things like that. And so anyway, there was a connection there because Robert Heath helped him. And he did get involved in some of that stuff. So that got him interested in, he met Mary Sherman, Dr. Mary Sherman, at the Crippled Children's Hospital. And they became friends. And she's a world-class cancer researcher. Now, one so-called famous guy on the internet keeps saying that she was just an orthopedic surgeon. But actually, when she died, the Wall Street Journal put that she was a noted cancer researcher right on their front page, who'd been found dead. She was found dead, of course, as you surely know, on July 21st, 1964, the day the Warren Commission came to New Orleans to get unsolicited testimonies. They were there before getting the ones they wanted. Now they wanted volunteers to come forward and to speak out. And Mary Sherman was found dead that same day.
Do you have any suspicion that Mary Sherman might, in fact, have come forward and that might be the reason for her accidental demise?
That was no accidental demise when you find out her right arm was completely missing. Even though her body was badly burned, even her curtains weren't even smoldering. that her body is found naked. This is a fancy woman, a doctor, with great respect. She's found naked. We find that Guy Bannister, a month earlier, in June, was killed. He's found naked. This is a message, okay, being sent out. And a month before him, Guy Bannister's friend Hugh Ward, who knew a lot about Lee, also was killed. So these are not coincidences. These are shut up, you know.
Now, you and David and Mary were involved in research in New Orleans. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the primate research. First of all, we started out with mice. These were baby or weanling mice. And imagine if you have a mouse that weighs an ounce, say, and then it has a tumor that it develops in only 7 days, and this tumor is as big as the mouse is. So for 100 ounces of mouse, you have 100 ounces of tumor. Imagine. That's 100% ratio, you know, going on there. Now, if you have a monkey, then we went to monkeys and moved it to marmosets first, a very small pygmy type of monkey. Because first of all, we had to see, you cannot take a cancer from a mouse and then have it work in a human. You've got to transit it through primates. We are primates. We are anthropologically associated with apes of all kinds, of gorillas, bonobos and chimps and so on, and also monkeys. Well, so we used first the marmoset, because if it didn't work in a marmoset, we're not going to go and kill expensive big monkeys first. And they were grabbing marmosets, these little pygmy ones, and by the sackful in South America at one time, you know, and just hauling them in. Now they're breeding and they're expensive, but they weren't that expensive then, and they were very, very useful. So we have maybe like a little 3-ounce marmoset, and sure enough, they were getting like 1 ounce cancers on them. 1/3 of their body weight would be cancer. Can you imagine? Only a week. That's because these were little babies. They had no immune system because they were young. See, they're just getting weaned from their mothers, and they didn't have the immune system, and therefore they were susceptible. Well, next we moved to green monkeys. Green monkeys weigh about anywhere from 9 to 12 kilograms. So we're talking about 20-pound monkey, 25-pound monkey. And as you can imagine, if you have 100 of them, that's 2,500 pounds of monkey. 250 pounds of monkey is 100. Where are we here? I'm getting lost. Anyway, if you had 1,000 pounds of monkey, that meant you had about 200 monkeys. See, and so when I say that we worked with thousands of pounds of monkeys, I don't mean we worked with thousands of monkeys, but thousands of pounds of them, because we were looking at the ratio there. If we have 1,000 pounds of monkey, how many pounds of cancer did we get from that realm? And as a matter of fact, we're talking about enormous, rapidly developing cancers, and it was incredible how fast they grew, and we had it. You know.
And the project you were engaged in here, Judyth, that you're describing had to do with the use of a rapid-growing cancer as a bioweapon to kill human beings?
This was dreadful. My idea was, my parents lived in Florida. I was going to school there when Castro aimed nuclear weapons at us. And he was ranting and raving on television, you know, he wanted to kill everybody, and he hated, you know, seemed to hate the United States. He would go on for hours. So, yeah, we had a real problem there, and I've been faulted. At that time, I was told that it would maybe stop World War III, that we could save millions of people if we could get rid of Castro. And I didn't consider it murder. I considered it a safe way to defuse all those nuclear weapons.
Yeah, you were acting in the interest of national security as you understood it.
That's the way, yes. And I was a young person. I believed these strong individuals like Dr. Oxner and what they told me. Why should I doubt them if they're such famous men and they're so powerful and they know what they're talking about? And somebody's going to do it anyway. But I did object when I found out they were going to use it on uninformed persons without their consent, and that ruined my whole life and my whole career, and I was kicked out of cancer research for it.
Judyth, I look forward to continuing our conversations about these and other events in New Orleans during the period you knew Lee Oswald. I want to thank you for coming on with me on James Fetzer News.
Thank you, Jim.